Good morning. This is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to season 3 and episode number 211 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. Today, recording day is Tuesday, September 19th, 2023, and it looks like it's a gray and cloudy day here at the Beaver Lodge. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, he, Mr. Beaver A. And with me, as always, is my dear friend, Mr. Grizzly. Thank you goes to our founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. We have a Tuesday morning nibble for you, and I've got lots of content, so we're probably just going to jump right in it because, return of Parliament, the kids have come back to school. So we have to see what they've been up to. But before we do anything, let's say hello to Mr. Grizzly and ask him, how's your mental health doing today, sir? I see you have something wrapped around your neck.
Well, good morning, Mr. Beaver. This is a magic bag, and you can use it out of the freezer or out of the microwave, and this is out of the freezer. My neck is a little stiff and sore, so some ice pack on it, if you will. Go ahead.
So I was going to say somebody gave me one of those for Christmas one year, and I wore it out within 6 months. I should have had somebody make a cover for it because then, they're amazing.
Yeah, they work great. Yeah. So that's why that's on my neck. It's just to help with a little bit of pain. I get some stiffness there. So a little ice pack in the morning helps. So yeah, mental health wise, pretty good. A little groggy, not fully awake yet. Just starting my second cup of coffee, and Bridget woke up at 4:30. I woke up at 5, went back to sleep, got out of bed at 6, and I'm dragging my butt right now, but I'll be fine. I'll get there.
Yeah, I empathize. So for the kids watching, I look very smart because there's math on the board behind me, but that's the Beaver Sweetie. And that's why I'm so low in the screen so the students can see. So it's not that I shrunk. Honey did not shrink the beaver. Honey, I shrunk the beaver. Okay.
Just heard that. Yeah.
It's like time released joke.
Well, it's because there's a delay. Like we have the lead, and
Right.
there's a delay. Well, and speaking of Honey, I Shrunk the Beaver, how about this is a gentleman in Kingston, Mark Blackett at Rock Handsome. Jason Alexander, check out the beer from a local brewery in Kingston, Ontario. I think we can all relate. It's Daft Brewing Shrinkage Cold IPA. I was in the pool. And Jason Alexander responded with not exactly what the selling point of this would be.
I love that. Daft Brewery, they're like, it's literally maybe a less than 15-minute walk away from the Beaver Lodge. Yeah, they have cheeky.
Yeah, good sense of humor.
Oh yeah, it's a nice place and very welcoming as well. Particularly of our community at
Shrinkage.
hosts events. Shrinkage
Cold
beer.
IPA. I was
So
in the
cold.
pool.
But
Yeah.
I think that's the selling point, is that it's so cold it will provoke shrinkage.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you like it cold.
Well, who doesn't like it cold?
Who doesn't like it cold? Douglas, you did not just say shrink the beaver. I did. I did. All right. Kids, cubs. Yeah, like I said,
Big news.
kids,
Big
the
news
kids
story.
have come back to school.
Mm.
Now, when the house comes back, there's a tone
Yes, of
that
course.
people try to set. But yesterday, something
A big
very,
news
very
story.
important happened, in that the prime minister went public with the fact that there is credible information from national intelligence that the extrajudicial killing of someone that the government of India considers to be a terrorist. Members of the Sikh community would maybe consider him, I guess, a separatist in the way that we say separatist when we talk about Quebec,
Yes,
wanting to achieve an independent state for people that have a language and a culture and
that is
that are
different
part of
from.
another nation. I do not know enough about the history of this subject.
No, nor do I. I know. I'm
Right,
familiar
have an
with the
opinion one
Punjab
way.
and the Sikh faith and culture, but when it comes to this breakaway faction, if you will, I'm not really familiar with it. Now, Narendra Modi as the prime minister, he wants a religious state, a Hindu state, is what he wants.
Yep.
Which
Is kind of incompatible with
democracy.
people who would democracy one, but it's like if you're in a pluralistic state when it comes to religion, then all of a sudden one of the religions decides, you know what, we should be supremacist.
Mm-hmm. That's
Like
no
one of the
longer.
races decides we should be
Yeah.
supremacist.
Yeah.
People of other religions suddenly get nervous.
Yeah. Well, and like India was largely long before the Brits showed up. They were basically a Muslim, for the most part, nation. Right? There's mosques all over India, everywhere. I mean, the Taj Mahal is a burial for a Muslim. I want to say king, but that's not really the right word.
Yeah, the word's not coming to me either.
Yeah, not king, but anyway, you get what I'm getting at. At one point, the country was largely Muslim, but the Hindu religion, the Hindu faith was always there, as was the Sikh faith, and they all seemed to get along in their different kingdoms, and then it became one united country, and the Brits came in and colonized it, and there's some good things they brought, but a lot of bad things. And anyway, I'm not going to get into a history lesson this morning because we don't have the time, nor the bandwidth, and the knowledge base to really expound on it. So it's a complicated situation, one that we don't fully understand because it's in another nation on the other side of the world. And I don't think it's fair of us to make any commentary, to be honest with you, when it comes to what's going on there, because it's not our lived experience, right?
You have some comments from Mohan here saying that it's the opposite, Paul. The Hindus existed way before the Muslim religion existed.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Apologies.
Yeah. And then same thing. Another comment from Mohan. Bad things have been perpetrated from both sides. Nobody's hands is clean in this mess. Somewhere in the middle is probably closer to the truth, and one side is entirely virtuous. One, usually with most things in life. And again, I don't even know enough about the subject to be able to say that with any degree of certainty.
Right.
So, cards on the table, right? I'm speaking from a place of ignorance in many regards with regard to this. But from the best of my understanding, that would be the perspective of India is that this person, well, at least the current government of India, is that this person that was assassinated on Canadian soil is a terrorist. Some would say he's a separatist, just looking for an independent state for people that have a different language and a different culture. We also have to remember that we have a bit of a history, specifically in Canada, because there was the Air India bombing at one point. It's messy.
Yes.
And was that related to this in any way, or is it just two different moments in the same movement?
I don't
Who
know.
knows, right? So I do not know. But the Prime Minister said that there's credible intelligence coming from our national security apparatus that the assassination of this person was an extrajudicial killing, and that maybe that the government, not the state, somehow in India had a role to play.
Well,
and that
effectively what they're saying is it was an assassination by a foreign entity on Canadian soil.
So that would cause problems if that were true. One diplomat has been expelled, and it adds a whole lot of color and texture to what happened at the G20. Kind of explains why because the Prime Minister excused himself from the final dinner but didn't give a reason.
I think we know why now.
And I believe the government of India did offer the Prime Minister a plane to come back home, and he turned it down. And I think we now maybe know why.
That would probably be a good reason. Well, we'll offer you a plane. No, that's okay. That's fine. I've got my own plane.
Well, good. Yeah, and that maybe there was a reason that the technician needed to come all the way with that specific part in order to install it. Or maybe there wasn't a technical issue with the plane and they wanted a technician to come and inspect
thoroughly check it. Yeah. Who knows? We don't know.
But we don't know. But the Prime Minister went there to have this conversation with him. Clearly, the conversation was not well received. And then he gets back home and he shares with us what it is he shared with him. Not everything, clearly, because I'm sure he probably they had a little bit more of a candid conversation with a little more evidence, maybe.
Well, undoubtedly.
But
there's information we won't be privy to.
But told us what he told him. And now we see all the gleeful dancing of the conservative movement and the press and the pundits and the sycophants over the last 4 or 5 days.
Oopsie.
All of a sudden, yeah. Again, I'm handing out spatulas if you'd like to remove the egg from your face.
Maybe if Skippy went and got his top secret clearance, he would have been privy to this information, but then he can't use anything as a cudgel. Yeah. So it stinks to high heaven.
Yeah. So let's in the House of Commons, not during question period though, during member statements, I believe. Let's see how this
tabling of documents, routine affairs, tabling of documents section of when the House is sitting. We have some video here. Let me just bring this up. And 1 second, here
we're going to start with the Prime Minister, of course.
Of course.
Statements by ministers. The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, today I'm rising to inform the House of an extremely serious matter. I just informed the leaders of the opposition directly, but I want now to speak with all Canadians. Over the past number of weeks, Canadian security agencies have been actively pursuing credible allegations of a potential link between agents of the government of India and the killing of a Canadian citizen, Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Canada is a rule of law country. The protection of our citizens and defense of our sovereignty are fundamental. Our top priorities have therefore been, one, that our law enforcement and security agencies ensure the continued safety of all Canadians, and two, that all steps be taken to hold perpetrators of this murder to account. Canada has declared its deep concerns to the top intelligence and security officials of the Indian government. Last week at the G20, I brought them personally and directly to Prime Minister Modi in no uncertain terms. Any involvement of a foreign government in the killing of a Canadian citizen on Canadian soil is an unacceptable violation of our sovereignty. It is contrary to the fundamental rules by which free, open, and democratic societies conduct themselves. As you would expect, we've been working closely and coordinating with our allies on this very serious matter. In the strongest possible terms, I continue to urge the Government of India to cooperate with Canada to get to the bottom of this matter. I also expect it to reiterate that its position on extrajudicial operations in another country is clearly and unequivocally in line with international law. I know many Canadians, particularly members of the Indo-Canadian community, are feeling angry or perhaps frightened right now. Let us not allow this to change us. Let us remain calm and steadfast in our commitment to our democratic principles and our adherence to the rule of law. This is who we are and what we do as Canadians. Monsieur le Président, je me lève.
Mr. Speaker.
So he obviously then continues and says the same thing in French. Statement like, very
Indeed.
clear, the proper tone for the moment. Right? Now, a situation like this brings on interesting situations. So before we get, normally I would go to the leader of the opposition, but here, given that it's this type of issue, well, the Bloc Québécois, what it would have to say would surely be interesting, would it not? Now, interesting thing, however, all the parties' leaders addressed this except for the Bloc Québécois. Blanchette did not say this. They had Alain Terrien say it. But here we go. It's going to be in French, but there's going to be an overdub translation.
Okay.
The Honourable Member for La Prairie. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We were just informed about this situation. We were stunned and shocked. It's entirely unacceptable, of course. First of all, I want to offer my condolence to the family and friends who were impacted by this act. Foreign countries have to respect our borders. It's up to our authorities to intervene on our territory to uphold our laws. We are a state with rule of law. Without exception, everyone has to respect this. It's a clear message that Parliament must convey to the guilty and to those who are the subject of what we're saying today. We have to remain calm, pay attention to developments in this file. In the meantime, the Bloc Québécois is offering its full cooperation to the Prime Minister for a situation that we cannot accept.
All right. Perfectly acceptable statement. Just a shame it didn't come from the leader.
Hmm.
Don't know why the leader wasn't there. I'm not going to
Well,
infer anything. There could be a legitimate reason he's not there, but shame it didn't come from the
well,
leader.
business of government is business. Business, right? Who
Yeah.
knows? Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? Okay, now we move to the leader of the opposition. Now, you want to take any bets on how he handles this? You might be
I've
surprised.
already
You
seen
might
this.
you might be surprised. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, I was. Did you catch the slip of the tongue though?
Yeah, the slip of the tongue for me is a non.
No, I
Is a
know.
non.
Same thing for me.
People made things.
Yes.
It's a really unfortunate slip of the tongue at an unfortunate
Yes.
time on an unfortunate word, but
We're not going to make
that's
hay
the
of it
same thing as
because
the people from those American Family things that watch The Lion King and stop frame to see if there's a boob in the clouds or something. That's not a thing. Let's not waste
I,
time on it.
agreed, and that's what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
People are making hay of it, and I'm like, okay, you got a point, but I don't think that. I think this is just an unfortunate mistake.
But it was
I
like
could be wrong, but I
but it
really
was like
think it's just,
it's like the WestJet was offering $5 on every ticket. Like this,
yeah.
there are people that are trying to stir the pot and disinform on the other side as well. So
Exactly.
right.
Yeah,
So,
it's but like, well, I don't like extremists on the right or the left.
yeah, but it's like people are, I think some people are thinking, like, okay, this guy's been at it for so long, so he's got it coming. So people are a little more willing to give
Yes.
him a little taste of his own medicine back. But
Well, and
it's not true is not true, regardless which side it is.
well, and there was also a lot of people going Freudian slip. I'm like,
no. They're making the link to when he said tar baby.
yes. Yeah,
Right.
and I can see how I can see the stretch and I can see it, but I don't think that was the case here. Maybe we're wrong.
Correlation
Don't
is
know
not causation.
exactly. So let's just watch this, and we'll you'll see.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Moments ago, the Prime Minister made me aware of intelligence from his authorities linking the Indian government to the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Before going any further, let me offer my condolences to the family of Hardeep Singh Nijjar in the loss that this represents and the outrageous murder that brought it about. If these allegations are true, they represent an outrageous affront to Canada's sovereignty. Our citizens must be safe from extrajudicial killings of all kinds, most of all from foreign governments. Canadians deserve to be protected on Canadian soil. We call on the Indian government to act with utmost transparency as authorities investigate this murder, because the truth must come out. We must know who performed the assassination and who was behind the assassination. Conservatives will continue to work to get these answers. All Canadians now stand with diaspora communities of Indian origin. And it is now in this time that the official office and appeal for calm. We are all Canadians. This is our country. We must be united for our home and for each other. Let us all join arms, lock arms and join hands in condemning this murder, standing with the family and friends of its victim. Let us all put aside our differences to stand up for the rule of law. One law for all of our people, a law made in this chamber by Canadians for Canadians. Thank you.
That was the proper response, measured. He said the right things.
Yeah.
He did. He did.
So, but here's the thing. So he's capable of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The problem is that when you see his reaction to, let's say Trudeau having to pay, well, actually, the government of Canada apparatus that actually books travel for the prime minister when he has to go to the state
Mhm.
funeral of, let's say, a queen, for example, and the bill comes in and it's
Yes.
raging fire. Like it's that angry bear that you, flaming bear there on fire.
Yeah.
And now there's an extrajudicial killing and news of that on soil, and it's that. Where's the fire? Where's the rage? Where's the take Canada back, bring it home? Where's the somebody
Mm-hmm.
came on our soil? You're the Justin Trudeau's the big weakling. You're the big tough. Where?
Well, I think if
But you see,
so, you look at his face while he's delivering that speech. Okay, he doesn't look well.
Mm.
He looks really tired. I don't know that he's unwell. I'm not making that accusation, but he doesn't look well. He looks really tired. Hate Canadian person. But the thing is this, he has a look of genuine fear on his face.
well, look, he has to make a statement against an IDU buddy.
Yeah.
So maybe
You know he's going to get spanked for
maybe that's
this.
well, no, I mean he has to say it, but maybe that's why there was a not the usual. I mean,
Bluster.
well, I mean, look, he wants to practically crucify Trudeau for the fact that the sun wakes up in the morning while he happens to be breathing at the same time. He said this is an outrageous attack on our sovereignty or violation of our sovereignty. Where's the fire that goes with that? Now, see, the
Well,
prime minister,
and
because when he talks, he doesn't start everything at 11.
no.
This sounds prime ministerial, but when for somebody who's always talking at 11,
Mm-hmm.
they took a picture out of the passport. It's erasure. Her whole culture is being erased.
Yeah.
Somebody, another state is alleged to have interfered in our nation by coming onto our territory and assassinating one of our citizens. For someone who's always at 11, then you would expect maybe some 13 or 14 here, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
But he brought it down. That's why you don't do politics at 11. Because
'cause
when
you
a
got
moment
nowhere
of
to go.
statesmanship happens. Exactly. Now, here's something that brings me a lot of joy to bring you, because we happen to have the leader of the fourth party who happens to know a little something about this.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see how he handles it. And let's,
He?
it should
Okay,
be he.
because you gave me
No,
a
no.
different cue.
Oh,
You gave me a different cue.
oh. Sorry. Did I miss one? Sorry. Yes.
Yes.
9:43. Sorry. I missed one.
Yeah, you did. Okay, right.
9:43. Listen to this not only for the content, but as you're listening to it, consider it as a side by side to the leader of opposition, what it is he said.
Mm.
And then tell me who would make the better leader of the opposition.
So this
All
is the
right.
leader of the third party.
The fourth party. Because the block's bigger.
Oh,
Bloc has more seats than the
okay.
NDP.
Right, except right, you are correct.
Yeah.
You are correct. But I don't see the Bloc as a fourth party because they don't have representation outside of the province of Quebec.
I understand it, but I'm just going by the
I know.
numbers.
Yeah.
I don't make the
No,
rules.
and it was just a little sidebar for a quick second. It was a few years back when they didn't want to allow Elizabeth May to be at the debates because they're like, well, she's not a national party. I'm like, but the Bloc Quebecois only represents Quebec. The Green Party represents all Canadians coast to coast. Maybe they don't have any seats, but at least they're in every province, running in every province, whereas the Bloc only runs in Quebec. So why are they at the table and they're not?
Yep.
You know, it's a legitimate argument. But anyway, okay. So let's have a look.
For Burnaby South.
What we've just learned today in the House is something that shocks the safety and security that so many Canadians rely on. It is outrageous, it is shocking, and it is going to have deep and devastating impacts to Canadians. I want to also begin by acknowledging the family of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, the family who's now learning that the loss of their loved one was potentially directly related to Indian government involvement. I spoke with Hardeep Singh Nijjar's son, and I could hear the pain of that loss in his voice. And I can only imagine how much more painful it is going to be knowing of this potential connection. On a personal reflection, I want to share with you what this means to the Sikh community. I grew up hearing many stories that if you raise concerns about human rights violations in India, that you might be denied a visa. That if you went back to India, you could suffer violence, torture, and even death. I grew up hearing those stories. But to hear the Prime Minister of Canada corroborate a potential link between a murder of a Canadian citizen on Canadian soil by a foreign government is something I could never have imagined. To understand what that means to the community, this is a place that so many people around the world have sought as refuge. People have fled persecution in their home countries, where they were threatened by torture and violence and death, to come to Canada as a beacon of safety, a place where you could be safe, free from violence, be able to speak your thoughts, speak your mind, and not worry if you would wake up dead the next day or someone you loved would be tortured or killed. That safety and security that so many Canadians feel has now been rocked. It has been shocked and it's been destabilized. I want to send a message directly to activists across our country who have fled persecution, who speak truth to power, knowing of the real dire consequences to themselves and potentially their family. I want to speak directly to people of Indian descent who have come to Canada, who spoke justice and spoke truth to power, who challenged the oppressive practices of India, caste violence, violence against women, systemic abuse of minority communities, systemic abuse of the poor. I want to speak directly to those activists. Governments around the world are trying to silence you. The Indian government and the Modi government specifically is attempting to silence you. But truth cannot be silenced. Justice cannot and will not be silenced. We know that the practice of the Indian government has been one of division, of violence, persecution, attacking those that are critical of the government. It is now an important time to send a clear message. As a democratic country, as a country that respects the rule of law, what will be our response? I want people to know that as leader of the New Democratic Party, I will use every tool at my disposal to ensure that Canada uses every tool and every power of a democratic nation to bring those responsible to justice. We will ensure that no rock is unturned, that every possible link will be examined, that the public inquiry should also turn its eye to this with the full rigor of that public inquiry. We need to know the truth. We need to know all potential links, and anyone and everyone responsible should be brought to justice using the full power of the nation. I call on our allies to condemn this violence, this direct violation of a sovereign nation's rights, to condemn this act in the harshest terms possible. This will require all democratic nations to come together to send a clear message about what this means, that a foreign nation kills a Canadian on Canadian soil. This is something that all democratic nations have to stand up and denounce clearly. And finally, I want to send a clear message to many people who are here learning of this and will be angry, are going to be afraid. And I understand why you would be angry and afraid. I call for everyone who is hearing this news now to come together, and not in anger, but in love for justice. There's a Sikh practice that the love of justice is what we should focus on, not the anger and the frustration and the fear. Focus on the love for justice, and I will do my part. We will do our part in this chamber to ensure that justice is served using every tool that a democratic nation can do. ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੈਂ ਇਹ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਜੋ ਆਪਾਂ ਅੱਜ ਸੁਣਿਆ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਰੇ ਨੂੰ ਛੋਟੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹਿੰਦੁਸਤਾਨ ਦੀ ਹਕੂਮਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ੁਲਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਪਰ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਇੱਥੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ 'ਚ ਇੱਥੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹਾ ਖਤਰਾ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਮੈਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੈਗਾ ਆ ਅਤੇ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਕੁ ਮੇਰਾ ਤਾਕਤ ਹੈਗਾ ਮੈਂ ਹਟੂੰਗਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਦ ਤੱਕ ਜਸਟਿਸ ਅਤੇ ਇਨਸਾਫ ਮਿਲੂਗਾ ਇਸ ਮਾਮਲੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੈਂ ਹਟਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਜਦ ਤੱਕ ਸਾਰੇ ਹੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਲਿੰਕ ਹੋਵੇ ਉਹਦਾ ਪੂਰੀ ਖੋਜ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਵੇ ਅਤੇ ਜੋ ਨਿਆਂ ਆ ਜੋ ਜਸਟਿਸ ਹੈ ਜੋ ਇਨਸਾਫ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਵੇ I want you to know you can trust that New Democrats and everyone in this House will fight with everything we have to ensure that this serious, reprehensible matter is treated with the utmost seriousness and focus and that we bring justice. Thank you.
Wow. That was what we need to see from him. That was leadership.
Did you feel that emotion?
Oh, yeah. Like he's directly connected to this.
Yeah. But you see what was missing from Pierre?
Yep. Oh, yeah. Pierre looked afraid. Jagmeet looked fired up and ready to go. But at the same token, he was emotional about it because it's like nobody's safe now. I think that's what I got from it, right?
Yes.
Nobody is safe now.
But you would think that would have the leader of the opposition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who's famous for his fiery temper and his rage.
Didn't have any of it today. He looked genuinely scared.
Or weak. Comparatively. Comparatively. Alone. Right? If you watch the news clips, you watch the Prime Minister, you watch him say, oh my God, look at this. He's able to be statesman-like. He's not all rage. Wow. But now, put it side by side to Jagmeet Singh and tell me who you want in that leader of the opposition chair.
Yeah. Well, that's the statesman that we know Jagmeet can be when he doesn't play the stupid social media game of, I know you are, but what am I? Which is effectively what he does oftentimes when he and you know we both get mad at him for it because it's like, dude, you're above this. Stop it. What you just did, what he just said, the way he just performed in the House. And it is a performance because it is emotional and he tried to keep his emotions in check because I'm sure he wanted to go off.
Oh, yeah. You could tell it. You could tell he was holding back some horses.
He was. And I understand that. I really do. It's not an easy situation, but he was statesmanlike in that instance, and he was what leader of the opposition should be, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. This next election in 2 years will be. I don't know what to predict. It's 2 years away, so I have no idea what to predict. Between now and then, a million things can happen. Between now and next week, a million things can happen. So who's to say what we see in 2 years? But I could think that we might see Jagmeet, if he's still the leader of the NDP, he could be the official opposition. I don't know if he'll be prime minister. I don't know if the NDP has enough supporters coast to coast.
Well, if the bottom falls out of the Liberals.
Yeah, I think they'd be choice number 2. Yeah.
But
who knows?
Somebody, I think it was Mohan, Kip Mohan said, this is Jagmeet's time to shine. It is.
It is.
And this is the time to make the case. Keep on saying really his avenue is like, look at the leader of the opposition. Not only does he not deserve to not form government, he doesn't deserve to be the government. they also do not deserve to even be the opposition.
Mm-hmm.
That's the lane is right there in BC. All the most of the fights in all the interior are NDP conservative fights. In Alberta, they're NDP conservative fights. In Manitoba and Saskatchewan, go get yours, man.
Well, and where the NDP come from? Saskatchewan initially,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Now we have one more clip, Elizabeth May, and everybody's being great, right?
Mm-hmm.
Stay till the end, Kits. Stay to the end.
Okay, here we go.
Saanich Gulf Islands is rising on a point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I seek unanimous consent to join my colleagues in response to this horrific and chilling news that the Prime Minister has shared with us. Particularly grateful for the tone taken. First person to speak after the Prime Minister, the leader of the official opposition. I heed his words that we link arms and join hands so that the quest for justice, which was just so passionately and eloquently spoke of by the honourable member for Burnaby South, the leader of the Democratic Party, on behalf of all Greens, we pledge to join with our colleagues in nonpartisan fashion, support our
government. Will member moving to motion please say nay? Nay. I'm afraid we don't have unanimous consent on that one.
What?
Because she's not an official party, she does not have actual speaking time. So she has to do, whenever she wants speaking time, she has to have it been granted by consent. Right. Everyone. So in a moment, when it comes to standing up for our national sovereignty and saying, I would like to join everybody in the House.
And they shut her down.
In offering the support of Greens and Canadian Green voters. And there is a second Green member in the House.
Yes.
Too. And she was denied. And I heard 2 nays.
Yes.
Who are
I wonder who they
2 assholes?
Well, we can find out. Because that will be in the Hansard. We'll be able to find out.
Would it be?
It should be. Yes. It's public. We should be able to find out who said nay to that.
So I'm listening to it. All of that happens. Like this, her time gets cut, obviously, because she has time like this, and we have a vote. So we'll vote on the motion or point of order. Nay. So I'm listening to all that, and I'm like proud of my nation. I guess up until there, and it's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, yeah. Let's join in a partisan movement to get together to join each other and. No, we're not going to do that.
Now, somebody asked me, I said, I wish we had a translation of what Mr. Singh said, I believe in Punjabi, I would guess. I don't know enough to know. I'm going to ask around and see if I can find it, because I'm not sure if what he said at the end was what it is he said, and he just said it in English afterwards, or whether or not it was something different. But I'll go to the hive mind and see if somebody maybe has done it, because that would be interested. And if the votes are recorded in public, maybe check out the Hansard and see if the names are there.
Tell me something, sir. Ree's comment: if May was a man, would they have let her speak? I don't know if that works in this manner because of the way the system is set up. I don't know if her gender makes a difference here. I honestly don't know if that makes a difference or not in this instance. It maybe, possibly. I don't know. I'm not sure in this instance if that is applicable or not.
Mm-hmm. And as for the vote, it was, like I said, it wasn't individual voting like when they vote on the bill and they each rise and the votes recorded. It was just a voice vote. So the voice vote is either it passes or it doesn't, right? So I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure it would be there, but maybe somebody in the House opposite saw who it was and will say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was Mr. Dimples.
Could be.
Who knows?
But anyway, just wanted to put that moment. So, we thought that it looked like we were entering with some statesmanship, but nope. Right at the last minute. Yep. Exactly how petty. Somebody had to be petty.
Yeah.
Now, the interesting thing, however, from Mr. Singh's comment that made me smile is when he made the link to the public inquiry coming. And that's why it's important that this be an inquiry, which again makes PP look weak because if I remember correctly, PP wanted it to be only in the last 2 election cycles, so never when a conservative government was actually running, and only on China, which would remove all the IDU buddies from the equation. And now, boy, do we ever have motivation to look into some of the IDU buddies, and PP is going to find it very difficult to find a way to say no if he really wants to be prime minister.
Yeah, this is an
Like,
interesting
how
point
can you
that
be
Alan
the
brought
leader
up.
of Pardon? Tomorrow's
Alan's
1 million
point.
march is concerning. Yeah, now it is.
It's really concerning now. Yeah. Before I was thinking, oh, these chucklefucks losers are going to try and... But after, the mood changed literally overnight, right?
Yeah.
So,
That throws a little extra something into the sauce that was not in the original recipe. Caitlin, that's why I found it interesting that Jody Thomas has made multiple trips to India specifically to discuss foreign interference. Yeah. It's
This is the thing I have here from PNC Bio, and again, I don't know. They're upset someone wants effective government. I don't know that if her...
But you can make an equally good case.
Yes.
It's just
right?
petty against her, or if it was, like a sense easy to do because she's a woman, or it's just like, well, wait a minute, she's being effective. Like,
Yes.
let's cut that off.
I don't know. And again, I don't know if gender played a role in this instance. I know that it plays a role in 99% of them, but I don't know that it did in this instance. I think it had more to do with what she was saying and less about who was saying it in this instance. But I could be completely wrong, because let's face it, I know we live in a patriarchy. I know there's a lot of misogyny out there. I'm well aware of that. So I don't know in this particular instance if that was the case. It could very well have been, but I honestly, I don't know.
Yeah, and there's not enough to go on that. It was, it's just a
Right.
voice vote now. And it's not like the House of Commons isn't the place where some people go to shit disturb. So, yeah. So that's that moment. We'll see what happens from it at this point, from this point on. But now we kind of know why the Prime Minister was acting different than he normally would while away, and why Modi was very cold to him. And, so it'll be interesting to see how the conservative narrative turns and how long it remains Team Canada before they start going and doing whatever they do. And it's kind of interesting now. It's kind of understandable now why talks on free trade with India have paused, for example.
You want free trade, but you can't murder people on our soil just because you don't like them.
Yeah, and that's just, it's kind of ironic that India, under this particular government, is borrowing plays from China's book. Just saying. All right. Before we need to go, because we're nearing the end of our show, there are 5 new MPs in the House of Commons that have taken their seats as a result of a whole bunch of by-elections. So in Winnipeg South Centre, Ben Carr was sworn in. He takes over the seat of his late father, Jim Carr, who was a member of cabinet. Anna Gainey is taking the seat for Notre-Dame-de-Grâce to replace Marc Garneau. Arpan Khanna from the Conservative Party is the new MP for riding of Oxford. And the Conservatives expect to he will play a role in outreach, probably in the GTA and among ethnic communities. Probably try to play the Jason Kenney role. MP Brandon Leslie, Mr. Conversion Therapy number 2, takes over from Candice Bergen in Portage, Lisgar. I actually wrote it as portaged in my script, so I didn't say portage by accident.
Good. Because peggers will get mad at you for that one, let me tell you.
I know, but as soon as I see the A, the French in me comes out, so I actually wrote it Portidge.
Good. Portage.
And Conservative MP Chevaloy Majumder is the new addition to Parliament. He's from Calgary Heritage, the most recent of the by-elections. Yeah, I guess we have to go. Yeah, because I wanted to show the first exchange in QP yesterday, but that will go over time for us. So, kids, that is the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. We hope that you loved listening to us because we love making this for you. We hope that you found this episode particularly informative given the subject matter. Word of mouth. It's priceless and sharing is caring. So please use your mouths to spread the good word about our show. We really appreciate it. And if you do not want to miss an episode, well, thanks to the Ray Girl, you don't have to. That little squiggly that just appeared is our QR code that brings us to our pod page, podpage.com/the True North Eager Beaver, lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those words. And if you subscribe to us there, when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, you will get it too. And since you are subscribing to things, why not make it a twofer? Make like Kit Elaine and go to the True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube site and subscribe there too. And if you're like me and you like pushing buttons, we have a subscribe and we have a share button. What?
No.
Push all the buttons. Push all the buttons. Pretend you're a 3-year-old in an elevator. Just push all the buttons. All right.
It looks like a Christmas tree.
Yes, exactly. And then the squiggly that's by Mr. Grizzly's head right there, well, that brings you to our coffee page. And that is where you can make a contribution to the Eager Beaver Hydration Fund to keep us lubricated and humected and moist, because there's so much going on that, just trying to keep up, we get parched. So if you would like to help us, well, you go to ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, lowercase letters, all in one word, and that's where you can make your contribution. And they are greatly appreciated. They really are. Thank you so much, everybody who does contribute. From the Beaver Lodge, this is your Eager Beaver saying, it could be a tough world out there, kids, so please be kind to and gentle with yourselves. Mr. Grizzly, some words of wisdom, please.
I really am at a loss for words today in light of the most recent news. I honestly, I don't know. I mean, there's a part of me that goes, well, I'm not surprised this happened. And at the same token, I'm like, I can't believe it happened on Canadian soil. And there's a comment I read that, well, they do it over there to their own people. I'm like, yeah, but they leave there to come here to avoid that. This is not supposed to happen here. It's not supposed to happen anywhere.
Yeah.
But the hope of immigrating to Canada and gaining Canadian citizenship and having that Canadian passport is that you are protected from that. You are allowed to speak out against your own government in this country without fear of reprisal of that nature.
You're allowed to be a separatist so long as you do it within the bounds of the law. We have an actual separatist party in the House of Commons. They were once the official opposition. We've had 2 referenda.
Yeah. I mean, you're allowed to do that in this country and do it without fear of reprisal from your government in a manner of mortal, I'm not even sure what to put there, but mortal peril, right?
Yeah. Be grateful.
Be grateful.
All those people that keep on telling that this is tyranny here.
No. Justin Trudeau's a dictator. He's a fascist, communist dictator. Well, none of those things work together to begin with. Number one, when you say that, you sound like an idiot because you don't know what you're talking about. And number three, you want to see what real dictatorships look like? Even though Narenda Modi is elected in the world's largest democracy, he runs the country like a dictator. He just murdered a Canadian citizen in Canada.
Putin holds elections.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
The fact that you have elections doesn't mean you live in a democracy.
Yeah. I think Putin has always found those extra 11,480 votes that he needed, right? Conveniently.
They're always somewhere.
Yeah.
Killing them. It's called democracy. Yeah, and it's called pluralism.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Mr. Grizzly, roll the credits. I have a fun Easter egg.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver media podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Before we go, yesterday on the show, I missed it while it happened, but somebody noticed that there were some paintings on the wall and saw Alex's name and wondered if it was an Alex original. Not so much an original, but we did that paint night thing.
Oh, in a pub?
Yeah. So given that the art had to come down, this is his.
Oh, cool. Very cool. Is that a nuclear explosion?
It was supposed to be a sunset.
Oh, okay. I was curious. I look like a mushroom cloud.
And this one was mine.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
There you go.
Cool. Well done, gents. Yeah. Well done.
We did a second one. Maybe I'll show it tomorrow if the kids demand it. But yeah, okay. There you go. That's what it was. But thanks for asking. All right.
Alrighty.
Have a great night.
I'll see you.